Hopsakee. Nou, daar zijn we dan toch opeens in beeld. Welkom bij de internationale uitzending van Racesport Live Chat. Dat is internationaal natuurlijk, omdat u aan deze kant van mij, als ik de goede kant dan opwijs, ja, daar ziet u namelijk helemaal uit Staphorst, ziet u Evert Slager komen. Evert is de grote goeroe achter Racesport.nl en alle activiteiten rondom motorsport in Nederland natuurlijk. Ik ben Iwan van der Valk en straks krijgen we ook nog een hoge gast, namelijk Simon Patterson. Een van de grote mannen in de MotoGP-verslaggeving wereldwijd. Jarenlang de correspondent van MCN. En tegenwoordig is hij de verslaggever van Race.com. En dat is ook een van de zeer grote race-sites in de wereld. Evert, ik zit ondertussen in Frankrijk, helemaal in het zuiden. Simon die zit in Spanje, als hij zo in beeld komt. Hoe is het weer in Staphorst eigenlijk?
Nou, als ik nu naar buiten kijk is het droog, maar het is waarschijnlijk iets minder warm dan bij jullie. En volgens mij nog een heel stuk minder warm dan bij Simon straks. Dus het is nog niet echt vakantieweer hier.
Oké, alright. Ik had gedacht het als volgt te gaan doen. Het is een beetje improviseren vandaag, omdat we ook nog proberen om wat mensen vanuit een Nederlands team, een Nederlandse coureur aan de lijn te krijgen straks in beeld. Maar tot die tijd willen we in ieder geval met Simon spreken over hoe het is om MotoGP-verslaggever te zijn, fulltime zoals hij dat doet en vooral op dit moment. En daarna gaan we het natuurlijk ook hebben over alle dingen die nieuw zijn, want er is gisteren gereden voor het eerst in de GP. Er wordt gereden in de World Superbikes, er is van alles aan de hand. Dus ik denk dat dat een mooi moment is, Evert, om Simon erbij te trekken. Evert is namelijk ook onze grote techneut. Welcome, Simon Patterson. Normally from Scotland or Ireland or somewhere in the UK or, it's a bit difficult with the United Kingdom and everything. Well, but you're now in the south of Spain, and actually you are in what we call Jerez. You say something like Jerez, I think, in the UK. I think we both say it totally wrong, but that's not a problem. You're the main MotoGP reporter for the race. Maybe you can describe a bit where you're actually transmitting from now.
So I am about 25 kilometers away from Jerez, on the beach with beautiful blue skies. It's been so hot, like 45 degrees Celsius the past few days. But I'm not in the circuit because journalists haven't been allowed in. So I've come here anyway to be on site because of a few little jobs that I've got that are just easier to be close by for. But no journalists allowed in for the opening MotoGP race of the season, which is finally happening on Sunday after an all too long overwait.
Well, I mean, it is a bit strange, of course. You're not allowed into the circuit itself. Normally you would get a nice pass and maybe a nice sticker for your van. But you're not allowed in at all. But we see quite a lot of things coming out of the paddock. How does that work when there's no journalists?
So far, it's been a bit strange. There's been a lot of media debriefs via Zoom, which is far from the ideal situation. It's not I don't like it. I'll be honest. I miss the human connection, the being able to speak to people, the being able to get information from people that you rely on as a journalist in the paddock. But we're scraping by. We're making it work. Thankfully, I've got a good phone book full of contacts. So I've been speaking to a lot of people, messaging, direct messages on Twitter, Instagram stories, all the stuff that you have to do to get information out of people, riders, crew chiefs, mechanics, technicians, team bosses, all the, you know how it is, all the contacts that you pick up when you're at a race. So between the two, between that and the Zoom meetings, we're getting there. We're getting the information we need so far. Not as easy as we'd like, but I think we're still keeping people quite informed on what's going on behind the fence inside the MotoGP bubble.
It's not like you can actually drive up to the fence and talk to people on the other side.
That would be good. I drove past the main gate yesterday. I was able to see into the car park where everyone's parked because it's just on the other side of the fence. But no, the rules say that essentially you're allowed to go into the paddock, you're allowed to go into your hotel, and you're allowed to go into your hotel restaurant if you're one of the people who've went for testing, who've got the MotoGP special app that lets you into the paddock every morning. But that app also tracks where you are. So whenever you're outside the paddock. They're monitoring your movements at all times. They know where you are. So
Really?
you can't be, so there's no sneaking out to the bar in the evening or a cheeky supermarket run without permission. It's all very, very strict and very, very locked down for the guys who are inside the bubble. And really, I think in the grand scheme of things, I've probably got a bit of a better situation than they have at the minute, being close, being in the van here that I now live in, and being able to enjoy the Spanish sunshine, but also being able to go to the beach, being able to go for a pizza in the evening. You know, the guys who are inside the bubble speaking out to me are quite jealous, actually, I think.
Yeah. Well, we working in the MotoGP paddock, as you've been doing for lots of years now. It's never easy because you all 16th. Okay, all right. Yeah. Well, we could call you a veteran journalist. Sixth? Oh, then you're not a veteran journalist. Sorry, mate.
No, not yet.
No, I'm just kidding. We know it's not easy because you have to report on something about a company maybe who is also handing out passes to come into the paddock. At this moment, it looks like a bit of a perfect situation for them. They can control every media outlet, and they can even now, as you told us, see where people actually are. I mean, it's George Orwell's dream.
Yeah, it's if you were prone to conspiracy theories, you could say that it's a bit of a perfect situation for Dorna because they have got complete control over everything that goes on at the minute and all the communications that come out. Thankfully, generally, there's always people inside the paddock, so there's always information that leaks out. Happy to share some information with us, so we go badly without it.
Yeah. You the connection broke for just a few seconds, but I think you were saying that there's always people who want to, well, leak is a big word, but bring out some information on the other side, of course. But maybe the app could also see who's calling who in the end. I mean, that would be really perfect.
Sorry, that again, connection is great. I apologize.
Oh, no worries at all. Oké. Evert, I'll just talk to Evert for a sec. Evert, hoorde jij wel allemaal wat er gezegd werd aan jouw kant?
Nou, het haperde af en toe wel het geluid, maar hij stond even stil, maar later kwam hij wel terug. Dus ik denk dat Simon nu een beetje aan het sleutelen is. Misschien moet hij even een geel geven als hij weer goed te verstaan is.
Yeah, Evert, just ask the guy with the satellite dish car if they can point it a bit more to the north now to Staphorst.
Unfortunately, this is my connection device, which is not ideal.
Yeah, not ideal. Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about the actually racing later on. But what do you think will happen when there's Sunday actual racing on? How many fans will come and start to watch it? I mean, this is the holiday season and not a lot of people are on holiday, but isn't the wait too long for people? Maybe they started liking something else now?
I think we're okay. From what I've seen online on social media and speaking to fans, there's a huge amount of anticipation building. People are so frustrated to have gone so long without racing that I think whenever we do get a race, that there'll be a big interest in it. Maybe the problem is next week, because having two races back to back at the same circuit, that maybe has the potential to harm things. If people see a boring race this Sunday and Marc Marquez wins by 45 seconds, which probably is not going to happen, but if it does, that will turn people off for the second weekend, and maybe that's a little bit of a problem. But I think we're in a golden era of competitive MotoGP racing at the minute, which is good. And people have been denied being able to watch what was a really, really hotly anticipated season. So I think whenever things start, people will still be there and still be interested.
Okay, yeah. The second weekend, it's a bit the Groundhog Day thing. I mean, like in Formula One, a lot of people thought about that. But then you need 45 seconds is a lot, but 4.5 for Marquez winning. Is that an option, by the way? Because we had the really first official outings yesterday, and Marc Marquez was not the quickest. You could draw a lot of things from that, or you could just say, well, he couldn't be bothered. But what's your view on that?
I think we had a quick talk with him tonight in the press conference, and he sounds very, very confident, which is very, very bad for his rivals. The break has been really good for Mark. His shoulder has fully healed up after the operation he had at the start of last year, over the winter break. Honda have fixed a lot of the problems that they had during testing. They had a magic final hour of the final night of the final test in Qatar, where they realized that all the problems with the new bike come from the new 2020 wings. So they ripped them all off, stuck the 2019 wings on, and suddenly Mark has fixed all the problems. So from both a technical point of view and a health point of view, he's confident, and that's terrifying for everyone else. I didn't realize until I saw someone tweet the stat earlier that he's never not finished on the MotoGP podium at a breath. So you got to think he's got a fairly good shout come Sunday.
Yeah, and he's not unlucky that we're doing 2 race weekends on Jerez then.
No, I think he's maybe got an even better chance in the second weekend. There's people the first weekend who will look to make an upset because it's the first weekend. My money for Sunday's race is actually in Fabio Quartararo. I think he's the person for race 1. But then by race 2, Mark will have been able to do all that testing that they weren't able to properly do over winter, and he'll come out fighting strong for the rest of the championship.
Yeah. All right, then, Marc Marquez, I mean, the Honda thing is, I think, the hot topic of the last, week, when word officially got out that Alex would only do this year in the same team as his brother and will be superseded by Espargaro. And then I think the big bombshell for you as a Brit as well was that there's, at this moment, officially not a place for Cal Crutchlow, but I think Aprilia would be the logical next step.
Yeah, I think in terms of Alex's move, I wrote an article a few weeks ago whenever we first heard the news was about what was going to happen unofficially. And my theory then was that moving to the satellite team is actually probably the best thing for Alex. He's not as talented as Mark. That's just a matter of fact. And to throw a rookie into the top team in all of motorcycle racing is a huge amount of pressure to put on them. And Mark said tonight in the press conference when he was asked about it, pretty much the same thing, that he thinks that sending Alex to LCR to take Cal's seat is actually better for him because it gives him a little bit of time to find his feet, to build into becoming a MotoGP rider instead of having this insane pressure of being a Repsol Honda MotoGP rider. On the Cal front, I'm fairly sure that Cal's going to end up at Aprilia, and I think it's going to be a really good place for him. They haven't made any announcement yet because we're still waiting to find out officially what happens with Andrea Iannone and the latest saga and the ongoing Iannone doping story, where he's going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport sometime in August, and that could either see his ban rescinded, which no one thinks is going to happen, or his ban extended to 4 years, which is what the World Anti-Doping Association wants. But either way, the chances of him being on the grid next year are very, very slim now. So Cal's a good fit for there. He's highly experienced. He's rode for 3 different manufacturers. The one thing that Aprilia needs right now is experience, because they're at the point where the bike is starting to get good, but they need a race-winning rider to really, make it into what they want it to be. And I think Cal will fit there. Plus, we all know that Cal's a bit wild. He says what he thinks, regardless of what people think of him for saying it. And I think that will fit quite well at Aprilia. The management team there, since Massimo Rivola came from Ferrari F1, are a really good bunch of people, and they're quite honest and open as well. Pardon me. So I think Crutchlow will be a good fit there whenever that deal is finally announced.
Yeah, it sounds logical. I mean, but there's no official word yet. But on the other way, he was quite certain about him staying in MotoGP. And then if you fix the puzzle, then there's only one spot where the last piece will fit, which is in Aprilia, logically. You started out with saying Alex would be better off with less pressure, not being in the factory team, which is nice, but and which sounds logical, but I mean, why did they do it in the first place then? I mean, they could have thought of that 1.5 years ago.
Well, you have to think in the crazy circumstances that left Alex in a factory team. he only joined the team whenever Jorge Lorenzo dramatically announced his retirement at the last round of last year. And Alex was at that point the best rider available to Honda, but not necessarily the best rider to ride the Honda. He was reigning Moto2 world champion. He had a contract that said that if he was offered a MotoGP bike, he could take it. But everyone else, all the established MotoGP race winners, all the people like Paul Espargaro, who you'd think, yeah, they would go okay in a Honda, had already signed contracts with factory teams that are a lot harder to get out of than a Moto2 contract.
Yeah, all right. Okay, then we move on to, well, I think Evert has bad nights sleeping from Valentino Rossi. And maybe, Evert, you can do something about Valentino Rossi, because I know, I'll switch to Dutch. Evert, de mensen op jouw site, er wordt enorm veel over Rossi gepraat. Dus ik gok dat jouw vraag daar ook over zal gaan.
Nee, nou, ik wou eerst nog even terugkomen op Marquez, maar ik zal dat in het Engels doen. Simon, I was a little bit surprised today, not because Marc Marquez say in the press conference that he was fully informed about the move from his brother, but I saw also a message from Alex, and in this message, Alex say, it looks like he was not so happy with the move. What do you think about this discussion? Is this a discussion between the two brothers, or is he saying that and maybe he is happy with the move to LCR?
We know for one that Honda don't like their riders to say things that they're not supposed to say. And Marc Marquez is very well aware of that. So I think maybe Marc's comments were him towing the corporate line, saying what Honda expected him to say, because they don't quite fit with the comments we heard his manager Emilio Alzamora say a couple of weeks ago whenever this news first came out. But you know, sometimes it's part of being MotoGP rider to keep your bosses happy, right? And it's something that Cal Crutchlow is not very good at.
No.
Yeah. You think in the end that maybe that's what cost him his place? I mean, at LCR, if he wouldn't have been this vocal, he maybe would have still got a new contract.
Yeah, I think it probably didn't help. Sorry, his chances. I'm sure it wasn't one thing in particular, especially given how important he is to Honda as development rider. I'm sure that they didn't look at one thing and say, yeah, we can't keep him because of that. I'm sure it was all sorts of things, one of which is that they needed someone to put Alex, and that Honda are a Japanese company who wants a Japanese rider, which means it's very difficult to get rid of Taka Nakagami on the other side of the LCR garage as well.
Yeah.
Yes, but it looks also Lucio Cecchinello was not so happy with this move.
Unfortunately, I think part of being a satellite team so closely affiliated to a factory is that sometimes you have to do what you're told. And that's definitely the position with Lucio. I know that for him, Cal is very, very... Cal brings a lot of sponsorship into the team. Sponsors like Cal because, funnily enough, of all the reasons that maybe Honda don't like him sometimes. Sponsors like a rider that gets out there and gets their name in the papers by saying things that other people won't say. And, Cecchinello is a businessman. He runs a very unusual setup with Cal, where he's always bringing in new sponsors on short-term basis, and a couple of races here and a couple of races there. So from a financial point of view, maybe he's a little bit, not concerned, but maybe he's going to lose out a little bit by not having Crutchlow part of the team next year.
Yeah, exactly. I have two questions already. Maybe we can do first the questions now, Iwan.
Ja, natuurlijk. Komt u maar. Laat ik nog even niet iedereen weet waarschijnlijk, want we hebben het nog niet officieel aangekondigd. Je kan alle vragen die je aan Simon hebt, of die je aan Evert of aan mij hebt, die kan je gewoon in de comments op Facebook of onder YouTube eronder gooien. Dan proberen we daar een zo goed mogelijk antwoord op te vinden. Oké, Evert.
Yeah. Okay. The first question is about Michelin. Michelin, is there a big change in the tire compound? They bring a new tire, I know, but this is one of the questions. Is this a big issue at the moment?
Yeah, the new rear tire that Michelin have brought for this season is a massive change from last year's. It's the result of probably 2.5 seasons of work developing the tire. It's been their main focus since they introduced the new front tire a couple of years into their MotoGP system. So that's how they work. They'll do 2 years now developing the front, then 2 more years on a new rear. It seems that it's changed how the bikes react a little bit, and that it benefits the guys who can maintain their corner speed more by giving them more grip through the corner. So right now, Yamaha and Suzuki, and to a lesser extent Aprilia, are taking massive benefit from it. Guys like Honda and Ducati, where they try to go around the corner as slowly as possible so that they can set up the bike as early as they can in the exit of the corner and then accelerate in a straight line. It doesn't work as well for them. They will figure out how to get the best out of it eventually, because we've got the smartest people in racing working on the problem. But it's one of the other reasons why I think that Fabio Quartararo is the man to beat this weekend. It's just another little thing that works in his favor at the start of the season. And him and Maverick Vinales in particular are smart enough to know that they need to take advantage of that now while they have the chance.
Yeah, but we saw yesterday, and also in the media debrief, Andrea Dovizioso told us already, he is not so happy with this rear tire.
Yeah, I think because it affects the Ducati, and probably because it makes some of the problems they have with how the bike turns in the middle of the corner, it makes those a little bit worse by having too much grip for them. It tries to throw the bike off the line. They're just going to have to come to terms with that, unfortunately. It's the nature of having a series where one tire fits all, where we have a control tire. And the only way you're really going to have a solution to that, where everyone can be happy with the tires, is if we go back to where we have 2 or 3 different companies providing them. I think
which would be great again.
It would be great again, but I think from a financial point of view, it's probably not going to happen in the next 4 or 5 years as we get over potentially another coronavirus recession. I think the thing that Dobby needs to remember when he's complaining as well is that it's worked exactly the opposite way for the last 2 seasons. And the Michelin front tire has aided the guys that are on the V4 bikes that can make the most of them. So, it's really just swung back the other way. And whenever we did have that tire that aided the V4s, the other bikes were still to win races, and he was able to win races, challenge for title.
Yeah, but when we stay, we have the tires, but I was also a little bit surprised yesterday evening. Quartararo and Vinales, they are really fast on the Yamaha, and Valentino is still struggling. And it's always when the track temperature is higher or too high, then he struggles a lot with the grip. What is the difference between these 3 guys? Is this riding style or?
Yeah, I think some of it comes down to riding style. I think that Vinales and Quartararo are from a different generation. They ride a little bit differently, and that they're able to get more out of the current Yamaha. It's also worth considering that Yamaha have built a very new bike for this year. The 2020 bike is a huge improvement in last year's, and they know now that the future for them in the series is Quartararo and Vinales, because they've signed 2 more years with the factory team. They're going to be steering the direction of the bike a little bit towards those guys and away from Rossi's input for probably the first time in his career. It's the first time that he's ever not been the lead development rider on the MotoGP bike he's currently riding.
Yeah, but is this a problem for Valentino this season? When he start with the same problem and they choose the direction from Fabio and Maverick and not his direction, then the problems are bigger and bigger.
I think it is probably a problem for him if he was setting out to win a championship. But I think that he probably knows now that the chances of winning another championship are past him, and that the dream now is to be able to win races. And we know that there are certain tracks in a normal year where the problems aren't an issue, where he is very, very strong, and where he can still surprise us all by winning a race. the problems won't be too much of an issue at places like Assen, which he loves and he's very, very fast at. And problems with tires overheating is rarely an issue at Silverstone as well, which is another place he loves going to. So maybe it means he can still challenge for podiums and the occasional race win, and that's enough to keep him happy and to be there.
Yeah, maybe this is a moment, Evert, to step to, because we maybe should discuss the move of Valentino for next year at this point, because it's the big thing, I think.
Yes, but I saw Valentino today in the press conference, and he was also in the Zoom meeting. I saw Simon, but when I look at Valentino Rossi in the press conference, he was not really interested. He was, I don't know how to say, but he looks like not really motivated or something like that.
Part of that might just be that we've only seen him looking at the media, and he's never really that motivated to discuss guys. He's more interested in just getting out there and riding his motorbike. It'll be interesting to see his body language tomorrow morning whenever it comes to the start of the session. I think that'll be the bigger tell, knowing how Valley's brain works.
Yeah, it's not his favorite job to do press conference. Yeah. I know.
Some of the top guys have a lot in common, and that's one thing that him and Casey Stoner have in common.
True. That.
But then I have one more question, Iwan, and then we go to the transfer of Valentino Rossi.
Yeah.
Fabio Quartararo becomes also a penalty. This is one of the questions. The MotoGP direction of the MotoGP steward panels say he can do the first 20 minutes of the first free practice Friday because he make a mistake in his training on a not allowed bike, and today it's confirmed that it's for sure the first 20 minutes he is not there Friday morning. What do you think about this situation?
It sounds like he's been punished, but I don't think he's been unfairly punished because him and his team clearly made a mistake and broke the rules. Rules are there to stop someone from riding a bike like Aleix Espargaro had a few years ago that was a Suzuki GSX-R with carbon brakes and MotoGP suspension and a factory swing arm, and a bike that to go out and buy would cost you probably 100,000 euros. The rule was brought in to try and stop people from doing that because it was given an advantage to the people that could afford to do it. It sounds like Quartararo was riding something that was much closer to Superstock specification than MotoGP specification, but he still broke the rules. He works for a team that should know better, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Shouldn't he know better himself? I mean, the people around him, well, he was poorly advised at this moment, you would think.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. He's a 20-year-old kid who just loves riding motorbikes, so it's easy to forgive him for making the mistake, but the people around him should know better. But mistakes happen, and it's not a huge penalty.
It's not. I think only thing you could say about it, the penalty itself is good, but the timing is quite bad. I mean, if you haven't been riding on a race bike, well, maybe he has been, then it's the timing is quite bad, I would say. So maybe safety-wise, they could come up with something else.
True, but the fact that they were on track for 3 hours.
You have to go swimming, I think.
My Italian is good enough to know what they're telling me, but it's probably not good.
No. Swimming lesson starts in half an hour. Okay. Valentino Rossi in 2021. I mean, quite a lot of media said they were sure, and they didn't even put brackets around it anymore. Valentino Rossi is moving. He has already signed the papers. Well, I think we can fairly say at this point he is going to move to Petronas SRT, but he didn't sign the papers. But apart from that, I was a bit surprised by the press release saying all the details he gave about talking to the other team. I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by that as well. But like you say, it is 99% done. I think Both sides are playing a bit of a negotiating game now, and that's the real reason that we've got a delay. They both know what's going to happen. There might even be something signed, some sort of a letter of intent or something that, contractually obliges him to speak to continue talking to them, but doesn't necessarily get him there yet, because they still can't decide what they're going to do about which members of his crew join him. And as we learned today in the press conference, which members of Fabio Quartararo's crew leave to go with him.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It sounds like a very standoff situation. I mean, I can imagine very much Petronas not wanting team members of Valentino's crew. On the other hand, I can very much imagine Valentino not wanting to go there with especially his main technical crew. I mean, he can miss guys like the merchandise guy or whatever, but the technical guys, I can't see him racing without them.
Yeah, but I think what we're going to see is, to a certain extent, it's all going to be decided for them.
En toen was de verbinding even weg.
When you're in our contract, being offered factory Yamaha contracts, then that makes up the minds for Petronas. They've got really no choice then. So we could see something like that happen, and I think it'll resolve itself out fairly easily in the end. But there'll be a lot of squaring up to each other and posturing before then, because that's how all these negotiations work. That's the fun of it.
Yeah. But I thought, maybe I should explain. You were a press officer for Petronas, so if anyone knows anything and wants to speak out, then it should be you. But my impression always was that Petronas has so much money that they can even say to Yamaha, well, flip the bird and there you go. This is how we want it, and we pay for the bikes and we decide. You don't get to decide anything, Yamaha. Or is that a wrong impression?
I think there is a certain amount of that where Petronas, there's no other satellite team in MotoGP that has a backer as strong as Petronas. They're bigger than Yamaha. But at the same time, there's no bigger name in motorcycle racing than Valentino Rossi. And you've got, as we say in English, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's a little bit of that there where it could make for a difficult negotiation. But like I say, I think in the end it'll come down to not having to threaten to throw huge amounts of money at people or at companies to make it happen. They'll resolve it as they realize how the pieces are going to fall in place.
Yeah. You think there's any chance of... Oh, sorry. Even ga je gang.
Yeah, but I think there are two stories. I asked Fabio in the press conference this afternoon, how many guys you bring with you to the factory team. So I think he like also to work with his crew chief and some of his mechanics, and he bring them to with him to the factory team. So this is also the discussion. So when Fabio asked, I like to go with 5 or 6 people, then it's easier for Petronas to say, Valentino, you can bring 6 or 7 people with you to our team.
Exactly that. Fabio is very, very close with his whole team. I'd be very, very surprised if his crew chief, Diego, doesn't go with him, and probably his data engineer, Pablo, as well. But then beyond that, there's another, like you say, 4 or 5 people that he would love to take with him. So that maybe is the first thing that's going to get sorted. Once we know where they're going, then the negotiations with Valentino can take place more seriously.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. One question I keep having: is there still any shred of possibility of Valentino starting his own VR46 racing team in MotoGP? I mean, maybe he could hook up with Petronas and not call it VR46 Sky Racing, but VR46 Petronas Racing. Is there any plan still in that direction?
From what I understand, there is no plans whatsoever for it to happen in 2021. But should he continue on beyond that and have a little bit more time to plan it out, then yeah, maybe there's a possibility for it to happen in the future. Because I'm not convinced that he's only ready to still do one more year. I've been working in MotoGP now since 2015, and we've always been talking about, will Valentino do one more year? And he always does. So Who knows when it's all going to come to an end. And if he's got time to plan things out a little bit more and to understand how much more fun you can have in a satellite team, then yeah, it's all possible. But not for next year.
All right. Ja. Evert, heb jij nog wat vragen binnengekregen ondertussen?
Yes, we have some questions. Now, one of the questions is about Valentino, and they asked, what do you think? Is Valentino perform better next year in the Petronas team than in the past and this year in the factory team?
I think that there won't be much difference. I think that he'll have a very, very fast bike. He'll have good support from Yamaha as always, and he'll still be consistently inside the top 6 and occasionally be able to fight for the podium and the win. So I think it won't make any difference, really.
Okay. Then we have some questions about the Ducati story. Is there any news about the situation with Andrea Dovizioso for next year? And the second question, maybe we can do in one question. What's the situation with Jorge Lorenzo and Ducati?
Okay, so first of all, there's no news on what's happening with Dovi. The last we've heard now is that Ducati want to wait for a few races to see how competitive he is and how competitive everyone else is to make up their decision. And the news on Jorge Lorenzo is that everyone is denying that there's talks going on between him and Ducati, but no one's quite sure whether or not that's true. Dovizioso has kind of put himself into a difficult position where he has left it very, very late to start making demands of Ducati for the future. And there's nowhere else left for him to go, which is why we've heard him talk about retirement. It's going to be difficult for him to get a good deal from them if that is the case. But he doesn't really have any other option. But then at the same time, they don't really have any other option but to sign him as well if they want someone to challenge Marc Marquez alongside Jack Miller, who's also already signed for the factory team. If I were Ducati, I would have leaked the story to a couple of journalists that we were talking to Jorge Lorenzo just to encourage Dovi a little bit more to sign up, because that's really the only alternative left for them. I'm not saying that that's the case at all, but it would certainly help to motivate him.
But I know you're quite big mates. You're quite good with Lorenzo. He answers to your tweets and everything. So you're close to the gods. Do you think that Lorenzo could be quick again if he would join? I mean, it's a comeback from far away.
Yeah, it is. But when you look at how competitive he was on the Ducati just before he left, things were finally starting to get there. And if he'd stayed with Ducati another season, I think we'd be talking about him as, he would have went into last season as a title contender, because he would have won, say he'd signed with Ducati at Le Mans instead of falling out with them. He then went and won 2 races right away. He won in Austria by beating Marc in the last corner and looked spectacular doing it. And then he got injured, and the rest of the season we never really got to see him continue that path, because first the crash in Aragon, then the big crash in Thailand that really damaged his foot whenever the bike had a technical problem. He never really had the chance to show his capabilities again after that, but I'm fairly sure that he would have won more races that year. So if he'd started 2019 fully fit, confident, happy with the team, yeah, he'd have been a title contender. And again this year, I think that the year at Honda damaged him mentally and physically. We know that he broke his back and that there was a psychological pain that came with that. But I think going back to Yamaha has been really good for him. It's made him look really happy again. It's made him look like he's really enjoying riding a motorbike and being fast again. And that feeling, I think, would stick around if he went to Honda or went back to Ducati.
I have more the impression, but again, you're much closer. That he's quite happy doing what he's doing now. I mean, he's people make fun of the jackets and the cars, but it looks like someone not being under pressure all the time anymore, and it looks to suit him quite well.
It does, but I think also some people like being under pressure. I think maybe he's one of them. He's enjoyed his time off. He's enjoyed his partying, his holidaying, his fast cars and weird jackets. But
I didn't say weird. That was you, Simon Patterson.
Oh, some of them are. Don't worry. Some of them are. I'll take that one.
You're listening, Jorge?
But when you look at what makes most racers tick, as both you guys know, they like being fast. And if you give them an opportunity to be fast, they will generally take it. Like, look at today's news that Marco Melandri is coming out of retirement for the second time to go back to World Superbikes.
Yeah. Well, I had to look up how old he is. He's 37. And then I thought, and then I looked up how old Leon Camier is, who he is replacing in World Superbikes. It's only a difference of 4 years. So I think only the retirement program made Marco look older than he actually is. But I'm quite curious how that will work out.
That still makes him a year younger than Leon Haslam, who is still on the World Superbike grid.
Yeah. Who was, by the way, riding today on... can't remember the track, to be honest. I watched on the live timing. He was quickest of the Hondas all day, even quicker as Bautista.
Wow. Yeah, it was on Aragon.
Well,
Aragon, yeah, of course, yeah.
Leon has a huge amount of experience. And he's one of those guys you can never count out, isn't he?
No, true. On the other one, small news in the sidelines. I saw Rocket Ron, his dad, is stopping with Ron Haslam's racing school in Donington. So if you're watching this and you ever want to get tutored by Ron Haslam, he's the guy, and you have to be quick.
I'll tell you a funny story about this. I went a few years ago to the Haslam school with Adam Child, the MCN journalist, to do some photographs for him. You know Chad.
Sir Adam.
And we... Leon was there. They've got a CBR 1000 on sports touring tires, and Leon took it out for a few quick laps at lunchtime because he was bored, and he was doing like 1:36-second laps of Donington. By the end of the day, I'd somehow ended up in a set of leathers, had been convinced that I should go on the back of the bike with Ron.
And I know where this is going.
15 seconds a lap slower than Leon, the World Superbike rider. That's how fast Ron still is. You know, we were doing under 2 minute laps of Donington with a pillion on.
Yeah, I've seen the both of them at the press introduction of not the last Fireblade, but the one before, which was at Qatar.
Yes.
And there was father and son Haslam, and John McGuinness was there as well. And then father and son Haslam went out to play. Yeah, to test the bike, of course. Well, that was... a really amazing sight, the two of them being crazy and sideways and everything. The Japanese were always committing harakiri, but it was really nice to watch.
John told
Simon,
me.
No. I have also a question about the Honda World Superbike. Is that a possibility that we see Carl Crutchlow going to the Honda World Superbike?
Ouch.
I think there's probably more chance of me being signed up to ride the Honda World Superbike than there is of Cal. He has no intentions whatsoever of going back to World Superbikes. If he's given the choice between retirement or Superbikes, he will take retirement. I can say that with a fair amount of confidence.
Yeah.
It's not in his plan at this stage in his life.
No. He goes cycling.
And even if Honda would say, okay, for 1 year World Superbikes, and then you can come back to, I don't know, even a factory team, why not?
I think that's the only way, but I can't see Honda having a space in a factory team for him in MotoGP again. That's the problem.
True. Yeah, right. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Even, Evert, krijgen wij onze Nederlandse gasten nog te pakken of wordt dat hem niet meer?
Nou, ze reageren tot nu en toe niet. Dus laten we vanuit gaan dat dat gewoon lastig wordt vanuit Jerez.
Yeah. You see how easy Dutch is, Simon?
Yeah, I got every word.
Yeah, great.
I know the words. Chocomel.
Chocomel, yeah, that's why all the maybe it's a good thing to explain why all English all motorcycle journalists from all over the world are interested in Chocomel, Simon.
It's easy. It's because the media center staff at Assen, who are all wonderful people, have got us all addicted to it. That's the sure reason, because there's always a fridge full of ice cold chocomel at the back of the media center. It's
and how disappointed you were last year when there was nothing. I still feel a bit embarrassed about that one.
Yeah, but I know why.
When I went to Aston last year, I was told by the media center staff that because it was my last weekend at MCN, they had a special surprise for me, and I was presented with 24 cans and gift wrapping.
Wow.
but I know British photographers. They go to the supermarket every evening downtown Assen to buy all the chocomel what's in the supermarket. They go 3-4 times and then they go back with the car on this way fully loaded with chocomel.
Yeah, they have to restock every evening.
My suitcase is full of chocomel and fruit sauce.
That's why you bought a van now, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Think how much we can get in here.
But I talk in Dutch to Ivan, Simon, sorry for that. Het is 8:45. Ik denk dat wij gewoon nog even de laatste 10 minuten, zeg maar, even wat andere dingen nog gaan bespreken. Ook speciaal voor de Nederlandse kijkers die moeilijk Engels verstaan. Om nog even op het seizoen vooruit te blikken. En dat we dan...
even één ding, Evert. Ik heb Simon gevraagd om een huurautoverhaal te vertellen. En dat gaat hij ook doen. Dus ik denk dat we dat dan gewoon nu moeten doen. Voordat we hem eruit gooien. Laten we dat, hij weet ervan dat hij er komt. Dus ik zal hem even vragen. Oké, Simon. Well, the bad news is we're going to kick you out in a few minutes. The good news is that you can tell your rental car story. And maybe I should tell before that you don't have your driving license for very long. But you do have a nice rental car story for us, I think.
So when I was, I must have been about 19 years old. I'd just gone to university. Before I went to university, I learned to drive, but I failed my driving test. So I didn't actually have a license. And I went to Le Mans for the 24-hour race with my friend Stephen Thompson, who was racing at it. We went out in free practice on Saturday morning. He crashed in an oil spill from the rider in front of him, went down, injured his back, and wasn't fit to race. So on Sunday morning, we decided that we were going to head back to the UK instead of waiting and going on Monday or Tuesday as we'd originally booked. So we set out to drive our hire car to Paris to fly home. A volcano erupted in Iceland and every flight in Europe stopped.
Oh, wow.
So with him in a neck brace, we ended up driving. His mechanic drove the hire car from Le Mans to Calais. We got the boat from Calais to Dover. We got a bus from Dover to London. We got the underground from London to Heathrow Airport, which was the only place in London that had a 24-hour hire car desk. We hired a car in Heathrow. We drove from Heathrow right up to Stranraer in Scotland, where they got the boat back home to Northern Ireland. And then I drove the hire car with no license to the drop-off point for the hire car and caught the train back to university in Scotland. So the first time I ever drove a hire car, I was on my own and I had no license to do it. And we'd been awake for 27 hours.
That's a nice one. That's a nice one, Simon.
And it was a huge estate car as well. So, just add to it.
Oh, wow. Great. Yeah, well, you got lucky. Maybe you didn't have to drive in France on the right side of the road. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
That's true. All right, Simon, it's been great talking to you. Thanks a lot for taking the time to talk with us. I hope you can stand the heat in Jerez because, it's really hot over there. And keep us informed. People watch therace.com and follow your stories and your socials to see what's happening. Thanks a lot for that.
Really good to see you guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, hasta la vista.
Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you.
Oké, nou dan kunnen we eigenlijk in het Nederlands.
Ja, hij was wel heel snel weg. Maar wel leuk dat hij hier tijd voor wilde maken vanuit zijn camper vlakbij het circuit Jerez. Geweldig.
Ja, nou het mooie van Simon is, dat kan ik nu wel zeggen nu hij weg is. Nou, dat had ik ook wel kunnen zeggen toen hij er was. Maar het mooie is dus inderdaad, hij heeft een camper gekocht. Daar gaat hij alle circuits in Europa gaat hij daarmee afrijden. En het mooie van Simon is ook dat hij echt heel erg onafhankelijk is. Dus dat hij nogal wat journalisten hebben er een baantje bij. Dat ze wat persberichtjes voor Pietje tikken of wat fotootjes voor Jantje maken. En daardoor best wel politieke dingen ze nu dan niet kunnen brengen. Maar Simon die is nu in de positie gekomen dat hij eigenlijk alles kan brengen. Dus dat is... dat is een goed nieuws, zeg maar, om hem op zijn Twitter of op zijn Instagram te volgen, zou ik zeggen.
Ja, want hij heeft een jaar een uitstapje gemaakt naar het Petronas Yamaha Racing.
Bij Zeelenberg.
Bij Zeelenberg, daar deed hij de persberichten, maar daar kon hij toch niet goed aarden. Dus hij is weer terug als journalist. Dus,
dat zie je overal natuurlijk. Ja. Alle journalisten doen dat wel een keer. Maken zich daar wel een keertje schuldig aan. Ik heb ooit ook wel eens een jaar voor een motormerk gewerkt. Maar dan wordt het opeens een heel ander feestje. Want dan kan je niet zomaar meer alles roepen wat je denkt dat goed is. Omdat het merk niet zo goed uitkomt. Dus je moet wel een beetje, ze noemen ook wel eens persvoorlieger worden. Je moet ze nu dan wel eens de dingen vertellen zoals ze niet zijn. En dat is niet altijd even makkelijk natuurlijk. Dus goed dat hij weer terug is. Ja. Hey, Nederlandse coureurs moeten we het nog even over hebben, denk ik, Evert. De Nederlandse coureur misschien.
Ja, nou, dat was eigenlijk, ging gisteren niet helemaal goed. En eerst vond ik het wel een verrassing, gezien wat er in Qatar gebeurde. Had ook eigenlijk verwacht dat de ontwikkeling, die eigenlijk stopgezet is in de Moto2, tot eind volgend jaar een voordeel zou zijn voor NTS als enige team. Maar ja, we kwamen gisteren eigenlijk van de koude kermis thuis. En het ging eigenlijk helemaal nog niet met Bo, maar ook niet met Ravin. En ze hebben toch nog wel redelijk wat werk te doen bij RW Racing GP. Voordat morgen vroeg de eerste vrije training begint.
Ja, komt het goed?
Nou, kijk, ik heb gisteren ook uitgebreid met Jarno Jansen daarover gesproken. En... Ik snap het wel. Zij weten zelf ook heel goed waar de problemen liggen. Kijk, zij hebben natuurlijk niet heel veel data. De keren dat we, of normaal gesproken in Jerez zijn, dat is in februari, dat is in november, om te testen. Dan komen de teams daar meerdere keer. Veel kouder. Nou, je ziet ook de tijden die vaak gereden worden tijdens een test in november of in februari in Jerez. Die worden later in het seizoen niet meer gehaald. Dus die verschillen zijn al goed heel groot. Alleen ze komen nu in Jerez. Ja, het is gewoon boven de 40 graden. Asfalttemperaturen van 56 graden heb ik zelfs gehoord. Ja, ze gingen gisteren de baan op en waren gewoon helemaal van het padje af. Dus de hele setup, de voorkant, eigenlijk niks werkte. En daardoor moesten ze heel veel proberen. En dat proberen kost tijd. Dus ik denk dat ze heel erg blij zijn dat ze gisteren 2 keer een sessie hebben kunnen trainen. Want als je deze problemen hebt op vrijdagmorgen in een Grand Prix weekend, dan is het weekend al voorbij voordat die begonnen is. Want dat ga je niet meer goed maken in het weekend. Ze hebben nu gisteren getraind. Ze weten waar de problemen zitten. Ze zullen er vandaag alles aan gedaan hebben om die problemen op te lossen. Bo zei het zelf ook wel van, we weten welke kant we op moeten. Alleen het kwartje moet nog wel even vallen. En ik ben wel heel benieuwd waar ze morgen vroeg tijdens de eerste vrije training staan, zeg maar.
Ja, ik denk altijd, en daar hebben we het vaker over gehad natuurlijk, Evert, dat het kan in je nadeel zijn dat je een klein team bent, maar het kan ook in je voordeel zijn. En vooral in dit soort situaties zou het in je voordeel kunnen zijn, omdat je met een klein clubje snel beslissingen kan maken, snel dingen kan omzetten zoals je wil natuurlijk. Aan de andere kant, advocaat van de duivel. Het was gisteren inderdaad Holiday on Ice, zo glad was het. Maar toch ook de jongens die voorin zaten, waren weer de jongens die voorin zaten, die hetzelfde probleem hadden natuurlijk. Dus ik denk dat nu gewoon, dat het niet zozeer gaat om gisteren, maar dat is een beetje meer mijn gevoel erbij. Maar in de tijd tussen gisteren en morgenochtend, dat het grote is waar je je nu als team moet onderscheiden. Dat je de slag kan maken naar een compleet andere setup, waardoor je morgen gewoon zaken kan doen. En daar zouden ze heel goed uit kunnen springen. Maar nou ja, het zou ook kunnen van niet. Ik bedoel, ik denk dat dat
Ja, we
ding wordt.
zagen gisteren natuurlijk wel weer. Hè, de eerste 15 of 14 binnen een seconde. De eerste 4 binnen 4/10 van de seconde.
Dat is altijd
Kijk,
Moto2 natuurlijk. Ja.
En dat is altijd Moto2. Kijk, en als je er dan 1,7 was het verschil, geloof ik, daarachter
Klopt.
staat. Dat is gewoon te groot. Dus daar moet gewoon echt meer dan 7.
En Raffin nog verder.
Seconden. Ja. Ja, kijk, ik ben misschien een beetje chauvinistisch, maar hoe we het ook wenden of keren, die Dexterse Bensnijder, het is geen verkeerde coureur. Hij staat er elke keer voor zijn teamgenoot. En ik denk dat we dat wel respect voor moeten hebben.
Ja, nou dat denk ik ook zeer zeker. En uiteindelijk is het natuurlijk ook zo dat het is niet voor niks dat Bo al jaren in de Grand Prix rijdt. En dat valt gewoon niets mee. En ja, aan de andere kant hoop je dan ook dat gewoon, in mijn ogen is racen ook vaak heel erg ervoor zorgen dat alle factoren eromheen de goede kant op wijzen. En dan hopen dat op een dag het puzzeltje perfect in elkaar valt. En dan goed scoren. Daar zelfvertrouwen op doen en dan vanaf daar door. Hè? Want dat is gewoon de ellende op dit moment natuurlijk een beetje. Dat als je elke keer tussen die 15 en die 25ste plaats blijft hangen, ja, dan is het moeilijk om ook jezelf als team en als rijder daaruit naar voren te duwen en te zorgen dat je bij die eerste 10 komt. Hè? Daar moet je ook een beetje mazzel mee hebben, heb ik het idee. En dus volgens mij het afdwingen in de dag tussen gisteren en morgen. Ik denk dat als het morgen op wat voor manier dan toch ook niet gaat, dat zou kunnen. Maar dan denk ik niet dat je naar Bensnijder moet kijken, maar naar het hele systeem eromheen. En niet zeggen dat het dan prutsers zijn of wat ik van, want dat bedoel ik helemaal niet. Maar gewoon dat die niet het verschil kunnen maken op dat moment. En dat is wat je nu nodig hebt.
Ja, en ik denk ook dat we niet moeten vergeten, Iwan, dat het echt cruciaal voor een coureur is om de tijd te krijgen in het kampioenschap. Kijk, ik denk als Bo, of ik ben ervan overtuigd, als Bo dit jaar een beetje redelijk doorkomt, en ik weet uit goed ingelichte bronnen dat hij inmiddels al aanbiedingen op zak heeft voor volgend jaar. Kijk, wat Bo is geen koekenbakker. En dat zien alle andere teambazen ook. Maar je moet wel de tijd krijgen. En kijk, de kenners zien op welke motorfiets hij rijdt. En dat kunnen we niemand verwijten. Want dat is gewoon de situatie als je met 2 rijders in zo'n kampioenschap rijdt. Dat het niet van een leien dakje gaat. En dat je niet tegen de 14 of 15 of misschien zijn er inmiddels wel meer Kalex zo even opbokst. En die de loef af gaat steken. Die situatie is er. Alleen krijg je een paar jaar de tijd. En kan die dit jaar een beetje fatsoenlijk doorkomen. Ik zie gewoon toekomst wel voor Bo in de Moto2. Alleen altijd dat verrekte geld.
Ja, ik denk dat zelf altijd, ik vind het mooiste voorbeeld van Luca Marini altijd. Die door verschillende oorzaken die wat makkelijker aan te wijzen zijn, best wel wat langer de tijd krijgt om te rijpen in de klasse waarin hij rondrijdt. En daardoor toch de kans krijgt om zichzelf naar voren te werken. Alleen die kans krijgen om te rijpen, dat is heel erg moeilijk. Flik dat maar eens even om dat lang vol te houden. En laten we hopen dat volgend jaar dan, stel dat dat zo zou zijn, dat dan, met alle respect overigens voor RW en NTS, maar dat dan een Kalex wordt. Want ik heb wel het idee dat je op een Kalex moet zitten om te winnen op dit moment.
Ja, maar aan de andere kant moeten we ook reëel zijn. Maar ook dat weten we, dat Bo heel hoog aangeschreven staat bij de mensen van NTS. En NTS zit nu ook even in de hoek waar de klappen vallen, maar die zijn heel gek met Bo Bensnijder. En samen met RW zullen ze hem heel graag willen behouden. Misschien komen er wel meer NTS-chassis volgend jaar. Of volgend jaar niet, want dat mag niet, omdat de ontwikkeling stopt. Dus, maar ik zie ook wel kansen voor NTS. NTS is gewoon een mega-concern, een Japans concern. En als ik kijk wat voor bedrijf Kalex is, die het nu extreem moeilijk hebben, omdat een klein bedrijfje als Kalex, die zijn afhankelijk van de verkoop van Moto2-chassis. En die verkopen niks. Is de eerste helft van het jaar niks kapot gereden. Dus daar verkopen ze ook geen vervangende onderdelen. Maar ook voor volgend jaar zullen ze geen 10 nieuwe fietsen verkopen. Want de ontwikkeling staat stil. Nou, de teams hebben het allemaal moeilijk. Dus er zullen er heel veel met huidige chassis door gaan rijden. Dus ja,
Ja.
ik weet niet of Dorna Kalex gaat helpen, maar anders wordt het voor Kalex een heel, heel moeilijk verhaal.
Ja, nou, die gaan wel geholpen worden. Maar in mijn beleving is morgen een zeer belangrijke eikdag voor NTS en vooral voor NTS en ook voor RW. Om te laten zien van jongens, wij kunnen snel zaken doen. We hebben een voordeel als klein team in plaats van dat we een nadeel hebben omdat we geen Kalex zijn. Maar in mijn ogen wordt dat morgen aan het einde van de dag, weten we hoe het ervoor staat.
Als morgen na de tweede vrije training het verschil nog rond de 1,5 seconde schommelt, zeg maar, van beide NTS-rijders, ja, dan wordt het een extreem moeilijk weekend.
Precies.
En
Precies.
dan is een herhaling van een 5e startplek en een 11e plek in de race wordt wel heel ver van mijn bedshow, ben ik bang.
Ja, en dan twee keer op hetzelfde circuit en dat soort dingen, zeg maar. Ik denk dat we een beetje aan het einde zitten. Ik heb hier een klok hangen, die geeft de Franse tijd aan. Maar dat omgerekend kom je exact op hetzelfde uit, namelijk iets na 9. Dus ik denk dat we er zo uit moeten.
Ja, ik denk ook dat we gewoon het voor gezien moeten houden voor vanavond. Daarbij willen we iedereen weer bedanken. Natuurlijk Simon hebben we al bedankt voor de eerste helft. Maar ook alle kijkers super bedankt weer dat jullie massaal ons hebben weten te vinden. En naar deze uitzending hebben gekeken. Dank daarvoor. Vanaf morgen zijn we volle bak bezig met de verslag van de Grand Prix vanuit Jerez. Even een kleine hint. Wij zullen dat weer doen zoals we eigenlijk gestart waren in Qatar. We beginnen morgen met een live blog. Die is vanaf 9 uur geopend. Die live blog die blijft gewoon de hele dag openstaan. En we zullen kortere verslagen na afloop van de tweede vrije training van elke categorie gaan maken. Dat is ook de opzet waar we dit jaar weer verder mee willen. We hebben echter één probleem. Als wij dubbele weekenden hebben, waar ook een World Superbike en een MotoGP is, dan zullen we op de oude manier gewoon de verslagen maken na elke sessie. Omdat we anders te weinig mankracht hebben om dat te kunnen voor elkaar kunnen krijgen. Dus 2 verschillende dingen. Vanaf morgen vroeg 9 uur zijn we er weer. En iedereen bedankt voor het kijken. En wie weet tot de volgende uitzending. Heel binnenkort een Racesport Live Chat